Present to you for induction into the Sports Hall of Fame, Mike Sayers.
All right, I apologize. This was not planned. Blame Alex Conti. Before he speaks, I just want you all to experience some of the magic that I've experienced being the son of the person who's about to speak. So if everybody could just please stand up just for a little bit. And I don't mean any disrespect, okay? I just want to show you what I experienced as a child. Anyone who has coached a divisional or you've won a divisional championship, please stay standing. If you have not, no disrespect to you, please sit down. Anyone who has coached or won a sectional, Section 6, or otherwise championship in New York State or any other state, please stay standing. Anyone who has won or coached a New York State or otherwise champion or championship, please stay standing. Anyone who has coached or won junior, open, or masters Empire State Games, New York State, please stay standing. Anyone who has competed and placed at the national level in any sport, please stay standing. Anyone in this room who has been number one in the world at any age group, at any sport, please stay standing. That is what I've experienced every single day of my life since October 15th, 1983. So I promise I'd keep it short. Without further ado, my father, Michael Sayers.
I don't even know what to say now. I want to thank you, Joe. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I mean, this is a very nice turnout. I did have a speech planned. I let Randy read it. He tore it up. He did write a speech for me, and I'm very happy that he did. And this is it. This is all he gave me, and this is really all I should say. But I do have a few other people I want to talk about, and a few other things I want to express. So I want to say, first of all, we've heard some great individuals tonight, and you will hear from another one as soon as I'm done. But I am very humbled and honored to be in the same company as these inductees tonight and all the inductees that have come before me. I mean, this is a great group of guys and gals, and I've admired and idolized almost every one of them, except this one. I just want to thank God for giving me the talent to do what I do and to allow me to continue to do what I do because it's still fun for me. And I will continue to do it as long as I can. I love competing. I would like to thank the Board of Directors for the Sports Hall of Fame for seeing something in me, for my athletic accomplishments and my years of coaching, as well as my volunteer work at the Soup Kitchen for St. Susan's, Meals on Wheels, and my number one love, Special Olympics. I also would like to thank our president, who should be thanked every day because he does such a wonderful job, and that's Randy Anderson. He has guided me through this process. He's helped me so many ways. He told me that my 5-minute speech would be cut down to 2. I told him, I think that's enough. I'll do a little speed reading, maybe some speed signing, But I'll try not to skip anything. I would not be here tonight without the support of a special group. First, I would like to thank my mom and dad for coming out tonight. They've been behind me my whole life. They fought for me when I wasn't allowed to do sports, but somehow they convinced them that I could. They taught me some very nice things. They taught me fair play, hard work, teamwork, and especially the one I remember the most, and that's never giving up. You try. I know when you see me here tonight, you know I threw javelin. I've been throwing javelin for about 48 years. You probably expected somebody a little bit bigger. So did I. But it didn't happen. My parents raised 5 young boys, all hell raisers. I don't know how they did it. I want to thank my brother Bob for coming here tonight. He let me tag along with him when I was very small and unable to do a lot of athletics, but he let me tag along, and I really appreciate that. Thanks, Bob. I want to thank my brother Tom, who also came tonight. Tom went to all my track meets when I was in high school, and it seemed to be like no matter how well I did, he would tell me after I was done, I can always do better. All I had to do was try a little harder. I want to thank foremost and probably the most, and she's the love of my life, my wife, Donna. We've been married 41 years. We've had an amazing journey together. I met her in college. Ironically, I met her at a track meet. If she didn't show up at that track meet, I don't know where we'd be right now. But I'm glad she did come. But she didn't come to see me. There was a real cute pole vaulter from Oswego that day. In the early years, we competed together. We did a lot of sports together. She was also a javelin thrower. She threw javelin until the young man you saw up here a few minutes ago ironically took one of the javelins and was throwing it around at one of our track meets. And while my wife was sitting on the ground trying to put on her shoes, the javelin went right through her foot. I know whose fault it was. It was mine. I should never have given it to him. But he tried so hard and he loved to do it. I want to thank my 4 children that have come tonight. I'm very happy that we got together as a family. Usually reunions only happen whether it's a funeral, a wedding, and this being the best night for me right now. I want to thank my daughter Melissa, who's also a phys ed teacher. She teaches in Cleveland, Ohio. She has her boyfriend Scott here tonight. I want to thank my daughter Jamie, who wants to be a nurse, and pretty soon she'll have to be taking care of me when I get older. That's probably the hardest job she's going to do. I want to thank my son Michael, who graduated from Oswego, who happens to work at an ideal job that many of us would love to work for. He's a membership director for the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York. Thank you. I also want to thank my son Joe. He came all the way from California. He works really hard at what he does out there. He works for Fluid Master. Fluid Master makes toilet parts. He went to Buff State to learn how to put toilets together. A graduate of Buff State with honors. Pretty hard to beat, Joe. I was tough on all of them when they were growing up, and they all did sports. And I hope they understand that I felt all their success, and I especially felt all their defeats. But you learn from defeats. You learn to be humble. You learn sportsmanship. You learn right from wrong. You know what's good. You know what's bad. But one of the reasons I'm very emotional right now is my 6 granddaughters came tonight. And We never get together much. I'd like to just mention their names. Brittany, who's going to be 16 this year. I don't know what Jamestown's going to do. My granddaughter Caitlin, my granddaughter Mackenzie, my granddaughter Morgan, my granddaughter Brianna, and my granddaughter Kaylee. I love all of you guys. I also would like to thank Asheville BOCES for hiring me to work as an adaptive phys ed teacher for 34 years. I got to work with a lot of young minds, young children. A lot of them had special needs, different developmental problems, but it was very much the career I always wanted to do. I also retired back in 2010. After a couple years, I realized I still had something to give. I still had a purpose in life. So I went to Aspire, and they took a chance on me, and I've been working for them for the last 5 years, working with young adult minds now. And the hardest part of this job is when I taught school, I could tell kids exactly what to do, and they would do it. Well, most of them. But when you deal with young adults, you have to look at it differently because they tell you what they want to do, and then you try your hardest to try to make that happen because now they're in charge. Now I get to thank all the people I wanted to thank. Sorry, Randy. Randy only gave me 2 minutes, and he says I'm a little past it. Again, I said I want to thank St. Susan's for letting me go down there and help out at their soup kitchen, picking up donations. It's really made me look at life a little bit differently. Meals on Wheels, you get to meet some outstanding older adults. They have lots of great stories to tell you, and I love to hear them. And it makes a difference in your life. I also want to thank Lakewood Volunteer Fire Department, Asheville Volunteer Fire Department, of which I was a member of both, for letting me make a difference, for being an EMT, learning how to take care of other people rather than just myself, and especially playing softball. We had an outstanding team, both at Asheville and at Lakewood, but that wasn't the reason I got into it, but it was a nice little side job that I enjoyed doing. My amazing coaching journey began at Panama. I know a lot of people, yeah, thank you, Panama. I know a lot of people know my athletic achievements, but I also want to be remembered as a good coach, somebody that made a difference in some people's life. Jack Engdahl. Jack Engdahl, he took a chance on me several years ago, lots of years ago. He hired me to try to revive a program at Panama that had died, and it was a wrestling program. And he saw something in me that he thought I could do the job. I can control the kids. I can keep them off the streets. I could teach them a few skills. I can make them a better person. And I want to thank you, Jack, for taking that chance. I also want to thank Sam Restivo's dad, superintendent at Panama at the time, Jack Keeney, longtime Hall of Famer from here, as well as Ray Fasciano. These are all guys that mentored me while I was coaching at Panama. But I wouldn't be any kind of coach if I didn't have those guys to keep me in line. I was one of those ranting, raving kind of coaches. Dave, you know all about that. I used to go to a basketball game, not to watch Fredonia play. They were actually very good. But I used to go to watch Dave and see what he was going to do next. And anybody that knows Dave knows that he's an outstanding coach and an outstanding person who can stand and run from sideline to sideline. He doesn't exactly throw chairs, but he does throw a lot of loud voices. Wrestling was real important to me because at the time when I graduated from Fredonia, we didn't have wrestling. But I went to college and I wanted to wrestle, and I was told, do you have any experience? And I said, no, I don't. He said, well, and the coach there, and I won't mention his name, but he's a wonderful guy, and I respected him very much. He said, I haven't got time to teach you. Most of my wrestlers have 15, 16 years under their belt. And I admired him for his honesty. So I stayed with gymnastics, and I stayed with track and field, and I don't regret that at all. I would have loved to have tried to wrestle. I probably wouldn't have been very good, but I would have tried. I want to mention some of the coaches that aren't here tonight that helped me in wrestling. Walt Thurnell, Bill Davenport, Ross and Alex Conti. Alex is in the back. Marty Rowe, and a longtime friend who had passed away, Dick Erico from Maple Grove. These are outstanding coaches that took me under the wings when I was coaching, and they helped me out a lot. Track and field was my first number one love, and I would be remiss without mentioning Mr. Fred Larson and Mr. Jack Larson, who were the track coaches at Fredonia High School. I admire both those guys. They allowed me to do any event I wanted to, only because I wasn't very good at any event. So they said, you can try anything you want. I had a coach come up to me my junior year. His name was Tom Priester. He told me, he says, are you Sayers? I said, yes, I am. He said, what event are you doing today? I said, Mr. Priester, I have no idea. They haven't told me yet. And he looked over at me, and excuse me, some of you young kids, but Mr. Priester told me you are a big pain in the ass. And I sat there and I said, you know, what did that actually mean? And when I thought about it, it meant that somebody had respect for me. And he later told me, he says, we wanted to put people in any other event that you weren't in, because he knew I was going to score some points. So that was the kind of respect that I had from Tom Priester, and I really admire him for it. I coached a lot of sports. Wrestling wasn't the only one. I coached soccer, JV girls soccer. We had a record 3 years I had them of 39 wins, 6 losses, and 3 ties. I coached varsity boys soccer. We won a Division I championship. I coached varsity boys and girls track at Maple Grove under Wally Joe Carlson and Bob Gustafson. I also coached varsity boys and girls track at Southwestern. And I know Randy's standing up now to stretch his legs. My 2 minutes are up. But I do want to mention that we would not be here, or I would not be here, if it wasn't for the kids I coached. I hope that the ones that I did coach understand that I hope I made a difference in their life. Debbie Palmer knows that very well. I hope that I did them well, and I wish them the best of luck, and I hope that someday these kids will become coaches themselves. And I thank you tonight. I have a lot of other stories to tell you, but Randy is slowly leaning me out the door, handing my stuff. Thank you.